all new. AM1150
Ho, ho, ho. the three-hole show.
Stop it.
We ready to get started. I can't hear the other stuff that's going on, but I guess we should go. So it's Christmas Day. We got a show to do. We here live in the studio. I know some of you guys and girls off celebrating Christmas. You won't be watching football today, I heard. I know it was no games on yesterday because I kept looking. It was 12 o'clock and I was still looking for football games. 12 o'clock last night. Mm-hmm. And there were still no football games to be had, which is unusual because last year they had college and pro games on Saturday this weekend. And I think we're going to be hard-pressed to get some football tomorrow also. So I know we're supposed to have some, but, whether or not we're going to have some is yet to be said, considering they moved games all the way into Tuesday.
Aren't those things already planned out?
Well, they changed the schedule because they had Tuesday games. They both had some Saturday games they didn't have, some Sunday games they didn't have, Monday game they put a couple extra games in, and then Tuesday, they both had a couple games. So, and I think they played them, So here it is, Saturday again. Now, what happens with the bowl games? We ain't even started the show yet. So, with the bowl games, if they cancel a bowl game, guess what? You don't get that played to next year when you qualify again.
There's no makeup day?
Hell no. And then they got the championship games coming. So, anyway.
The Bucks gonna make it, you think?
I'm talking about college.
See,
two different things.
Uh-huh.
See, it's hard to talk football when people don't even understand.
We got the New York Yankee Stadium here. We're fine.
Yeah, the Yankee Stadium. Yeah, they playing. Believe it or not, they playing baseball.
Are they?
Some teams are practicing and spring training and all that kind of stuff. They still were trying to find whether or not the Rays gonna be playing here or there.
That's right.
Half of the games here and half the games in Canada. I'm not quite sure what they're doing. But anyway, ho, ho, ho again. That what you do when you start over? You do 3 more hoes.
Enough of the hoeing.
So, this is Porch Talk Radio. And we're here on Christmas Day. Live in the studio. Facebook Live. Hey.
Like and share.
We're going to do what we do. We got a great show for you today. The last couple of weeks, we have been on the naughty list. A couple of weeks ago, we was on the naughty list for one of the newspapers. And then last week, we was on the naughty list for YouTube. From what I gather, we said a naughty word, a bad word, or something. Now, somebody one of these days gonna explain this to me, because it depends on who you are, what naughty words apply to you. Because some people have naughty words that they saying and talking about all day.
Eddie, if we call ourselves the Porch Talk Rap Hour,
no,
then we can say we just kind of follow some Snoop Dogg.
No.
And we call that artistry.
No,
and we can just cuss all day long.
No.
About bitch and hoes.
But it ain't cussing. That ain't the naughty words I'm talking about. It ain't them kind of naughty words. It ain't the 4-letter naughty words. It is the other letters naughty words that have real meaning. So pretty much the last couple of weeks, the newspaper made mention of prophecy and prophets.
Oh, that's right. You're the false prophet.
False prophet.
And I'm the racist Hispanic married to the black woman. Yeah, I got it.
And then there's the YouTube, which go out of their way to be political, even though they don't supposed to be political. I can have a conversation with somebody and tell in 3 seconds. Matter of fact, in 5 words, whether they political or not. Even though they can say, I am not political.
They're political.
Then all of a sudden, I say something. They don't have to respond. I can look at their face,
Mm-hmm.
their expression. You know, because there's a silent language going on that your body don't need your brain to tell it what to do. It's natural, you know, and it's kind of like sometimes you can look at a dog, and it'll start wagging its tail and licking and moving its head and stuff. You know, regardless of what you think it's trying to say or trying to do, those signs tell you what it's doing.
Eddie, that's getting complex. Just keep it simple. I'm sorry, is that a Biden sticker on your car? Oh my goodness. See what they do. They're either going to run away from you and go, yes, oh my God. I can't help it.
No. Biden sticker is too complicated.
Keep it simple.
Jordan. What's the thing? Brandon. You know.
Go Brandon. Let's
go Brandon. Yeah, go Brandon.
They didn't have Joe doing that, right?
Let's go Brandon. You know, stuff like that. You know, it's a little bit more complicated for those who don't know what the Go Brandon thing is all about. I think I explained that a couple weeks ago.
What is it?
But we didn't get. Oh, you don't know what it is?
Oh.
It involves some 4-letter words. You know, I guess they was at a they was at a NASCAR event, and the NASCAR folks were doing what they do. And they were saying F Joe Biden.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then the announcer girl, who was telecasting on TV, they were saying, "Let's go Brandon." When they were saying F you Joe Biden.
Joe just said that let's go Brandon in a conference meeting, a live talk with his wife because somebody repeated in his ear and he said it.
Well, that because he didn't know. See,
no, Joe, no, shh.
That's because there are these buzz phrases and buzzwords, you know, and they got certain meaning where you can cuss and not cuss, you know, kind of thing.
That's getting political.
You literally can cuss, you know, by saying this buzz phrase, and everybody know you cussing. It's kind of like shooting a bird or doing the arm.
You'll get his band again, aren't you?
Doing that whole thing, you know. So
sign language. Yeah.
So yeah, sign language. You know, you know, everybody knows shooting a bird is. You know, so now somehow, when people shoot birds now, I see them cloud it. They cloud it and make it fuzzy, like that's supposed to change what's happening. You know,
it makes it a softer meaning, Eddie.
It makes it blurry. That's all, but it still means the same thing. Anyway, Porch Talk Radio. This fine Christmas Saturday afternoon.
Live.
Crisp outside. It's not hot. It's not cold.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Three Bears. It's not hot. It's not cold. It's kind of just right for Florida here in December. You know, it's not cold.
In the middle of our winter.
Yeah, that's funny because folks up north getting snowstorms now. You know, I heard snowstorms coming in. They got a front coming in, but it's not going to come this far. You know, it may be a kind of cold in Atlanta. You know, Atlanta gets some cold fronts every now and then when they don't dip quite this far.
They get snow, right?
Yeah, they get snow. They get snow, pipe busting the whole 9 yards.
Oh my goodness!
You know, and then they got the virus. That's what old folks call it now. You know, the virus.
Oh, you mean the Omnicold?
No, I'm talking about the virus.
The Omnicold.
Okay.
I think they spell it Omnicron.
Okay. the Omicron virus then. Omicron virus.
That's it.
Omicron virus. Okay, anyway. What we going to talk about today? And I had a lot of people last week. I appreciate y'all. I really do. Because and I said this last week, I'm saying it again this week. You know, in my head, I am saying Gwen Myers. But in my voice going out to you people, it was saying Gwen Miller.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize. I got texts. I got email. I got phone calls.
Did you hear from Gwen Meyer?
No.
Wow. It don't count. It don't count.
I'm just saying I appreciate it because it was a lot more. I got people who was contacting me about that, even though I didn't do it intentionally. But I found out there's a lot of folks listening to this show. a lot more than I thought. And
Number one rated show
and-
for
and-
several
and-
years in a row.
And some different people that, I didn't know they listened to my show. I am glad. So this week, what we're going to do, we're going to not do a political show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I told people that I say this at the beginning of the show, so I got to say it this show if I don't say it the rest of the year. This is not that show you thought you was listening to nobody heard anything this morning, so
Yeah.
none of those shows were live like we are here in the studio, today. But on most other Saturday morning, there are a group of shows that come on before us. We're kind of late in the afternoon, the last talk show of the day, and most of those are Democratic type shows where the stuff they're talking about has the Democratic philosophy.
Eddie, are you sure about that? Because none of them are complimenting Joe Biden's accomplishments so far.
I am not that
Nothing.
show. This is not that show. This is the other show.
That's not Joe Biden's sticker in your car?
This is the show that's saying,
Think.
all
Use your head.
those other shows, have a point and they have an agenda.
A narrative. You're right about that.
This show,
And that's okay.
the point and the agenda are different. So anyway,
We want you to think.
what we're gonna do, I don't want to say destroy.
Uh-oh. Eddie. Come on now. Last show, Eddie. Last show of the year. Come on now, Eddie. Be careful.
I don't want to say we're gonna destroy one of you all's superheroes. Because there are real heroes that lived on this planet with us, actually got a life with recorded facts and figures and all that kind of stuff. And then there's Spider-Man and Superman and Aquaman and all that kind of stuff. Put your fantasy heroes, but they're fantasies. Now,
That means made up.
wait. Okay, let me finish doing this right.
Mm-hmm.
This is Porch Talk Radio.
Uh-oh.
If you want to call in during the show today, then you need to call 813-251-9867, 813-251-9867. If you want to call me, like many people did last week, after the show to discuss something, tell me something, forward a process or some information, my cell phone number, Eddie Adams Jr. cell phone number, 813-12. All right. Text me, email Eddie, EDDIE, at porchtalkradio.com. Facebook Live. Hey, we getting better at this.
I'm Gabriel, by the way. That's Eddie.
My brother-in-law, my sister, a couple other folks that I heard and that I talked to recently within the last week or so. Some of those folks are listening to the show. Some folks can't get the show live, so they listen on Facebook Live. They go to the website and look at the show. And I was told by my brother-in-law that he can't listen to the show in the house. He has to go in the garage.
Get a Bluetooth earpiece, have it on your phone, listen to it, and just put that Bluetooth earpiece.
I don't know what he's listening to, what the resource is in the garage, but when he hears the show, he's in the garage. So the repairs aren't as costly as if he was in the house breaking stuff that he paid a lot of money for. But he listens.
That's a good start.
That's what's important.
There you go.
And that's what I try to tell folks. Everything that we say and do is not on the agenda like a lot of these other shows. Sometimes all we want you to do is just think about it. I say, think about it. Look around. Look at TV. Look at, because when this show and I'm going to do like Paul Harvey,
Mm-hmm.
and now you know the rest of the story. When this show got started, there wasn't a whole bunch of black folks on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no market for having a real life black hero on TV. It was death to whatever media
Mm-hmm.
that would try to do that. So they colorized it. Not like
You blackface?
no. I said colorized. Which is what Turner Times TV channel network with Ted Turner
Yeah.
started colorizing like the Wizard of Oz and some of those
Okay, I see.
Gone with the Wind, some of those old shows that
Mhm.
were made way back when before they had color TV and they came back and colorized them. Well, they had a good story. It had drama, had aspirations, had death, had sadness, had happiness. It had all the good things that make something a good theatric possibilities of modern time.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a hero. Now, let me tell you, this guy, his story, let me say it like that, it was on radio, it was on TV, it was in newspapers. Matter of fact, they had a fight in the media about his mask.
Mm-hmm.
Because some guy was saying he owned the mask. But all this is fictitious. Even though it's fictitious based upon the life and times of a real, live, black person.
You say black?
Yeah, he was black.
Oh, that's why we didn't hear about it.
Now, he actually did ride a white horse. The horse was Snow White. And they called the horse. Matter of fact, the horse was so white that he glowed in the sun like the moon.
Hmm.
And they called it silver. So you know how silver shines?
So this is a real horse that existed.
Real horse
Okay.
existed.
Got it.
The man existed.
That he was black.
And he shot silver bullets.
Hmm.
You know why? He used silver bullets because silver, a lot of people don't know this, shoots truer, straighter, and faster than lead bullets.
Mm.
And nobody else was doing it. And he just happened to have a little silver mine, access to a silver mine. That's what the legend says. Now I'm fit to kind of hurt some people,
Oh, boy.
you know, because every time, you know, we take away something and tell you the truth, you know, a lot of y'all,
Somebody gets offended.
somebody goes into shock. No, don't do that, don't do that. The Lone Ranger was black.
Where is that, Eddie?
Google, some gonna do it right now. Google the real Lone Ranger. And what you're gonna find a black U.S. federal marshal by the name of Bass Reeves, who was born a slave. He was born into slavery.
Hmm.
He was born in Arkansas back in July 16th, 1838. Now, you know what the country looked like in 1838.
Mm-hmm.
They had slaves everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They had masters everywhere. And even if you was a free black man, you weren't gonna be whipping on, beating on, and telling no white folks what to do.
Mm-hmm. That was not allowed.
No, what? Now, this guy, Lone Ranger, Bass Reeves. See, I'm gonna keep saying his real name because by the time this show is over with, you'll say Bass Reeves is the Lone Ranger. So you make
the real.
You make that connection, so you can see what we're gonna do here. The Lone Ranger wasn't alone, and I ain't talking about Tonto. The Lone Ranger had a wife. The Lone Ranger had 10 kids. 10. 5 girls and 5 boys. And still, he was the first U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi. First black, let me make sure I say it. First black U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi.
Might have been a little country at the time, Eddie.
No, they still had some in the east. In the east,
okay.
You gotta take into consideration. This is the deep south.
Mm-hmm.
In the north they were doing stuff a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bass Reeves was a U.S. Marshal for 35 years.
Wow.
He captured over 3,000 bad guys.
Bet you the history books don't talk about that, Eddie.
Bad guys. When he was a teenager, he was owned by George Reeves, who was the son of William Reeves, and William Reeves was his master when he was born. And he was a water boy, field hand, and when George Reeves, William Reeves' son, got to be old enough to go to the military, he took Bass with him.
Mm.
So Bass kind of went with him and went where he was going and fought in some of the battles of the Civil War and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to tell you something. When he's a teenager, he reached a certain point, and he punched, this is a black guy now, punched George Reeves, his master, in the face in a card game.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he couldn't hang around no more.
Mm-hmm. Gotta roll.
So he went to what's now called the Badlands. And in the Badlands, if anybody know about the good old West, the Badlands was all Indian territories, where they took the Seminoles and the Creek and the Mohawks and a couple other different tribes from their natural native area within the country and took them all to Oklahoma.
Reservations out there.
Took them to the reservation.
Prisons.
And so, since there was no law in the Badlands, these were Indian territories, no U.S. Marshals, no anything to bring justice to these areas. When Bass Reeves went, he was pretty much adopted by a couple of Indian tribes. So he learned how to speak 4 or 5 different dialects of the English, of the Indian languages. Different tribes spoke different languages. So he had that going for him.
That's pretty darn good.
He learned to shoot. And he had a .45, and he shot equally well. He was a very good shot with both hands, right-handed and left-handed. And he had 2 .45s, so one on each hip. So no matter what happened, he could pull off even if you shot him in one arm or he got an arm hurt, he could still best you with the other hand. They banned him from all shooting competitions. And this is the time they had Bill Carson and Buffalo Bill and Annie Oakland, all them people. None of those people would enter a shooting competition with Bass Reeves. He was that good. Now, there was a white man who was responsible for bringing law and order to the West. His name was James Fagan. And James Fagan had the duty to hire about 300 marshals and bring law and order to the, as we call it now, the Old West.
So he basically needs some target practice people.
So the first black U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi, Bass Reeves, was selected as one of those marshals. And when the bad guys ran to the Indian Territory,
wow.
Guess what? Bass went after them. And most of them he caught. And the difference, and like I say, part of this is really the Lone Ranger fable cooked up in some Hollywood neighborhood, laboratory, the mask, the hat, the white horse. Some of that stuff was real, but he didn't get shot and buried and dug up, all that kind of stuff like they do for the Lone Ranger, the story, to make the story real.
Right.
He believed in order, justice, law. He believed in those things deeply. So they couldn't have him or have some black guy playing him. He didn't wear a white hat. That's all Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Yeah, that's Hollywood. He wore a black hat most of the time, but he did have a white horse and he did have the white guns and he did have that silver bullet. So see what I'm saying, folks? They took enough from the real guy because the tales that they tell and some of the stories of his capturing and some of the situations he was in and fought his way out and talked his way out and some of these other stuff, was so good that they made for good writing. So they got some good shows. Okay. The question I know everybody's wondering: who was Tonto? Now, for TV purposes, the Lone Ranger was played by Clayton Moore, who owns the mask, and the mask that they've been fussing and fighting about, the little black piece of cloth that he wore over his eyes. That was supposed to be cut from the jacket of his slain Texas Ranger brother. So they both got killed, and that was part of his brother's coat. And Tonto, the Indian sidekick, who was played by Jay Silverheels, who was actually a Canadian native. So he's actually Indian from Canada.
Got it.
So he wasn't even a U.S. He wasn't a Native American. He was a native Indian from Canada.
A Canadian Indian.
Yes. see, I'm just saying some of this stuff you can't make up. And the real Tonto, in real life, his name was Light Horse. Light Horse. And Kemosabe is supposed to be a real word. That's what Tonto called the Lone Ranger. So some of this stuff was really good stuff. So some of it was close, and some of it was just fiction, but they melded the two to create this fast riding, straight shot shooting white guy with a white hat and a white outfit with a black mask on and the Indian sidekick. Now, Tonto's horse, you know, a lot of folks, you know, this is like a trivia, Tonto's horse was named Scout.
Scout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lone Ranger's horse was named Silver.
Mm-hmm.
So, in his whole 35 years of being a U.S. Marshal, Bass Reeves only killed 14 people.
Mm-hmm.
Because he thought, I mean, he was good enough to shoot the gun out of your hand, you know, like you see on TV. Very few lawmen shoot the gun out of folks' hand. Well, the Lone Rangers used to do that. I just told you he was a quick draw and he was a straight shooter with both hands. He wasn't trying to kill you. He could have shot you in the heart or in the head or in the eye every time if he chose to. He only killed people when his life was in severe danger,
Sure.
or if someone else's life was in severe danger. So only 14 times did he actually kill anyone, even though he arrested over 3,000. His family was close to him, and they couldn't make this part of it up, and you never saw or heard about it. Of his 10 children, most of them were good and law-abiding. Again, he had 5 girls and 5 boys.
Mm-hmm.
One of his sons Benny Reeves killed his own wife. And guess what? There was a whole bunch of people who would have went after him, or would have went after him for the U.S. Marshals program. He said, no, that's my son. I go get him. And guess what? The Lone Ranger, Bass Reeves, arrested his own son for murder. And he went to trial, and he went to prison.
So he believed in the law then?
No, he was about the law.
He was the law.
He was the
Literally.
law. He was about enforcing the law, and he didn't give his son any sympathy.
Boy, he'd make a terrible Democrat today.
I'm just saying. He didn't go out of his way to make it easy for his son. And of course, like I said when we first started this story, he was black and he was in the South. He arrested one of the white folks who actually was a corrupt politician. Yeah. And this corrupt politician didn't like the fact that he was being arrested, bought, and told, you know, in the system, you know, what to do by a black man. And he had political clout. So he had Bass Reeves arrested. Of course, Bass Reeves got out, and he had the U.S. Marshal, the chief of the U.S. Marshal Services, testify on his behalf, and the judge had no choice but to let him out. But it was still racism going on.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy was the best they had. He embodied the whole perception of justice, and no one was above the law. If you was a crook or if you was a bad guy, he would come and get you. And there was nowhere for you to hide. And he was the fastest gunman of his time. And I'm telling you, he lived when Wild Bill Hickok was there, and the Wyatt Earp and all those other sheriffs and all those other people. Bass Reeves was barred from gunfighting contests and shooting contests. Because when he was young, he won them all. And everybody learned. we can't outshoot him. So we just won't let him enter.
Mm-hmm.
His family lived with him being home when he could. And there was an awful lot of people after him, because you got to take into consideration back then what they would do, they would put a reward on your head.
Mm-hmm. Bounty.
And he collected a lot of them. He got 3,000 folks arrested. So that's 3,000 bounties that he collected. So his family wasn't poor.
Wait a minute, no, Eddie, you're going against the narrative now. You're going against. He should have been a Poe black man, and the word Poe, P-O, after his name, because he was a black man.
Yeah.
That's what we've been told. All black people in the past were just Poe.
Yeah.
But you're not saying that.
No, he wasn't Poe, and he didn't act Poe. I just told you the man got a big old white stallion.
And silver bullets.
The fact that he got a white stallion and shooting folks with silver bullets and not shooting them so the bullets stay in their chest, shooting stuff out their hands, you know, so they could be alive to stand trial. See, that was important to him.
Wow.
That they'd be alive to go to court and justice have the opportunity to work. That was important to him.
That's amazing. For this day and age, that's not common.
So it wasn't just about the money, because he wasn't Poe. He wasn't collecting bounties to make a living. He was collecting bounties because in order for him to do his job, he had to bring these people to justice. And I guess one of the rewards of bringing 3,000 people to justice, you know, some of these guys were real bad character. Some of these people shot and robbed trains, robbed banks, took advantage of farmers in the Wild West in the middle of nowhere, out there on their own, come shoot and kill the farmer, his wife, and his kids, rustle the horses, rustle the cows, and went on to the next one. So we talking about a time in which there were some really, really bad people out there. And this guy, who was a hero to everybody who heard his plights and heard his stories. And Hollywood said, we got to do something with this. And of course, they got some good writers. And one of the things that I read when they were talking about Silver, the horse, doing a shooting of the Lone Ranger, the episodes in the movie, several times during the scene, the horse was so white that any dirt would show up. So they would pull the horse, take him over somewhere, and wash him white again, so that he stayed white in all the scenes. All the scenes you saw of the Lone Ranger TV show and the movie, Silver was always glistening white. I'm just saying, because they had an image to upkeep to make sure that this guy was pure.
His name was Bass Reeves.
Pure. No, I'm talking about the Clayton Moore, the image, the legend that everybody heard and knew about as kids. When the little guys were playing Cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers, Cowboys and Indians, the Lone Ranger, the little white boy, always wanted to be the Lone Ranger with his broom horse, you know, with the broom between your legs as you hop around and everything. And the Indian, Tonto, was always whoever else was there.
Exactly. Low man on totem pole.
Whoever else was there. So, anyway, folks, it's a lot of things that happen to us in our history. And some of it, you are never going to ever get the real story by doing what you're doing. Because you don't hear about it in the regular day-to-day travel and times of doing stuff.
Social media.
You ain't going to get it in school.
Not getting social media.
They're going to do everything they can to crowd and slight and add shade to a whole race of people who don't care about stuff that happened to them in the past. Because if you don't get it in school, I'm not going to go get it on my own, so it must not be true.
You know, Eddie.
That's why I bring stuff to you.
You know, Eddie, and I've got a great quote by St. Thomas Aquinas. It talked about truth is a conformity of the mind to reality.
Yes.
So again, back to truth is a conformity of the mind to reality. Go read that reality, go look that reality up and realize this is the truth. Your mind has to go with the truth. And like Eddie and I have joked back and forth throughout the years, politicians want to use all kinds of truths. It's like, no, you don't have an option of picking the facts you want to believe in. These are just the facts.
Right.
This is the truth here, and if you want to not believe it or call it fake news, you go on ahead. But Eddie and I, after 12 years now?
12 years.
12 years with our 98.99% accuracy, you can go look it up. We tell you, go to DuckDuckGo, go look it up. In fact, right now, to prove DuckDuckGo is different than Google, go Google right now, can a man get pregnant? And you'll get the answer yes. Go to DuckDuckGo. It'll be different. Just to let you know, folks.
All right. So, on this day.
There we go. Trans right on in, brother.
Roundabout to get there. About to
go.
get there. And we definitely cannot not do on this day.
End of year. This is it.
On Christmas Day. Because on this day, in 4 BC.
Oh boy.
In Herodom Kingdom of Judea, Roman Empire, the incarnation of God the Son and the awaited Messiah, the Christ, Jesus Christ was born on this day.
Mm-hmm. And he wasn't Christian.
No.
He was Jewish.
He was Jewish.
There you go.
On this day, December the 25th, 1776, George Washington and his troops crossed the Delaware River for a surprise attack against the Haitian forces at Trenton, New Jersey.
Haitian?
No, Haitian. Like Germans.
Oh, okay. Okay. Haitian. Okay. Haitian. Haitian get into
Haitians.
I'm sorry, my ears kind of flapped off of that.
On this day, you know the big picture of George Washington crossing the Delaware?
Yeah.
That's everywhere, the historic picture. Yeah. Okay, all right, that picture.
Got it.
Was on Christmas Day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
On December 25th, 1868, President Andrew Johnson, see them Johnsons and Jackson, Johnson granted an unconditional pardon to all persons involved in the Southern Rebellion that resulted in the Civil War. Now, I know it's a lot of folks didn't know that. I know a lot of y'all didn't know that Andrew Johnson pardoned everybody pretty much from the South. See, they don't write that up in history book and stuff like that. And on this day, 1939, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, I'm sorry. I'm so used to saying Dickinson. By Charles Dickens was read on CBS radio for the very first time.
Wow.
Gabriel.
So, a quick Santa fact. Santa Claus did exist. I believe he was out of a European country initially. He was a skinny white dude wearing red thermos, actually, back in the day. And since America got a hold of him, capitalized him, made him look like an alcoholic with that big fat red nose, we fattened him up quite a bit. So just for what it's worth, there was a Santa Claus, kind of like, but now he's playing with small little elves, so I don't got a bit weird nowadays. But we keep going forward. But folks, don't get after people that believe in Santa Claus. I mean, let's be serious for a moment here. Don't get after people, kids that believe. Don't do it, because we still got adults today that still believe Joe Biden can save America. So again, you let kids be as foolish as they want in their beliefs, because we got adults right there with them. Let's see now. Of course, you don't need anyone's permission to spend Christmas with your family. That's your right as a free American. Just a reminder to the CDC. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is wishing you and your family a winter of severe illness and death. In response, nobody in Florida watched Joe Biden's dark, hopeless doom and gloom speech when he gave just the other day. They were all busy living normal, carefree lives in the Freedom Zone. Florida has one of the 6 largest, fastest growing job economies in our country right now. Thank you, Mr. DeSantis. And the FDA, with all this going on with this COVID, some people got themselves all up in a fuss about. The FDA has permanently allows abortion pills by mail order now. So if you're wondering what's going on, back in 1944, men were facing certain death storming the beaches. Back in 1944.
That's World War II.
Yep. Men in 2020 and 21 are facing a 99.9% survival rate of a virus wearing and hiding behind ineffective masks that the CDC has no evidence it works, and the CEO of Southwest Airlines said they're ineffective. Come on, folks. Stop playing with it. Meanwhile, people say fake news. Why do people keep saying that? Well, folks, please understand, 90% of the media is owned by 5 corporations. 5 corporations own 90% of the media. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris, lost as a goose, turns to Hillary Clinton for advice on winning public favor. Isn't that awesome? She's going to the worst person she could find on the planet. She could talk to Bill. Bill would gladly give her some advice in a position, I'm sure. As we finish up, folks, we got some high points here, of course. A shout out to Joe Manchin, the Democrat. Oh my God. Build Back Better, the tombstone, it's dead. Thank you, Joe Manchin, the Democrat, for finally thinking it through and saying no. Thank you.
All right. Now, let me say this. Ho, ho, ho.
Oh, my goodness. Are you saying that for the 3 of us? What's going on?
I'm saying that's how we started today, this show. And this is the season. A lot of people forget that. I live in a Christmas village area, Temple Terrace. So last night, I want to say somewhere between 200 and 1,000 families joined me and my neighbors on Christmas Eve. I mean, you could not get into the neighborhood because it was all the way up to Bush and down Bush. The cars trying to get in, and this was at 7:00. This is first night. This wasn't at 12, 11, 12 o'clock at night. This is at 7. As soon as it got dark. So I say to myself, let me walk down here and see what all this is about. Because I live there, so I see it every night when I come home. They had people in cars, trucks, motorbikes, strollers, in every means of transportation except for a horse. I didn't see nobody riding a horse. Mm-hmm. They had golf carts, and they had all kind of stuff going on. And they had the Grinch. They had Santa Claus. They had elves up and down in the middle of the street. they was giving out something, but since I was walking, I didn't try to go see what they were giving out, but they were giving out some stuff.
That sounds like a super spreader event, Eddie. I think that was illegal.
I don't think anybody was concerned. Matter of fact, and I don't know if it was just my neighborhood, the fact that Christmas offered some type of immunity, but I didn't see nobody, didn't see anybody
We're in trouble already.
with a mask on.
We're getting banned again.
Didn't see people with masks on.
We're getting banned
And
again.
I wasn't the only one walking.
Mm-mm.
It was other people walking, and me being the type of person that I was looking to see how many of these folks had masks. We're gonna have masks on. You know what I'm saying? It is pretty much an outdoor event because it's Christmas. You in your car with all your family, and if you're walking along. Since I was by myself, I wasn't within 6 feet of anybody, but I was looking where all the crowds of people were. 'Cause they were giving out gifts and shaking Santa's hand.
You didn't get any gifts?
Sitting on Santa's lap.
I wouldn't want to sit on Santa's lap.
And stuff like that. And I'm saying to myself, boy, Santa better get the virus. He better get it. Because
That's not like a Joe Biden. Stop that. He's going to die.
It is no way you can have that many strangers
Sitting on your lap?
sitting on your lap, talking to you in your face,
Sneezing.
about stuff you know they ain't gonna get. Not unless Santa go tell their mama or their daddy. You see what I'm saying? It's the conversation piece, you know. And I did not see, and I'm saying this, and I'm saying it because it's about the children. I didn't hear one child crying. I didn't see one child acting up. I didn't see no one seeking extra attention.
Eddie, church night, 6 o'clock yesterday at Grace, one of the church, Grace family all over town. Out of hundreds of people that went into one room, maybe 5 might have had a mask.
Yeah.
And they were young.
And just for the record,
The older were like, forget it.
Just for Facebook and the newspapers and YouTube
Disclaimer time.
and all this stuff.
Disclaimer.
We are not saying don't wear masks. I am saying I didn't see none, and I was looking. So until New Year's,
We're going to be here?
we're gonna be here next week. That's next week,
What day?
Saturday.
Oh. Okay. Folks, I'm 50 plus now, and I just go day to day. I'm sorry.
Until next Saturday. Same bat time, same bat station. And I don't know if I'm gonna continue and tell you more stuff about Lone Ranger.
That's pretty interesting, Eddie. That really is.
Or come up with another hero.
We got to find another, but that's good.
To destroy, you know, because that just go to tell you, or just go to show you, of the history that's right here, give or take 100 years from us. You know how different it shows up in the media, as opposed to history 6,000 years old and 3,500 years old back in Africa, a whole continent away, and knowing that people don't want you to appear to be anything but stupid.
Ooh, Eddie, we're going to be in trouble. We're in trouble already.
So they've changed your history to the point to where when you find out the real history, it's not even identifiable.
You're right.
To be the same history of the same people.
They've been listening to the same lies so long, Eddie.
And something that they can't hide is they got black geniuses out there.
A lot.
And they got black magic women. That black girl magic.
Ooh.
And my mama was one, and I gotta say it because the day is her birthday. Happy birthday in heaven. And this is my first Christmas without my mom. I love her. I love you guys all over Tampa Bay. Until next week when we do this again. Bye-bye.
God bless America.
See ya.